As we continue our review of the first quarter of the 21st century, we turn to one country that has been a story, well, really many stories, in and of itself. Our colleague Enda Curran takes us through China's remarkable transformation.
Some improvements announce themselves. New roads, new airports, new skylines. You can see them being built. You can point at them. China's most interesting improvements don't work that way. They arrive quietly, embedded in the texture of daily life, in the way a prescription gets filled, in the way a package appears without anyone answering a door, in the way a city street stays dry while the neighboring city is underwater, in the way a phone never dies, in the way a traffic light seems to know you're running late. These are not showpiece projects or international headlines. They are the 15 ideas that changed what an ordinary Tuesday feels like in China. The ones that remove the friction so completely that the people living inside them have largely forgotten the friction was ever there. Here are 15 Chinese ideas that instantly improve everyday life. Number 15. Prescription vending machines outside hospitals. The moment after a doctor's appointment is one of the most friction-dense in modern healthcare. You have a prescription. The hospital pharmacy has a queue. You are already tired from being at the hospital. The pharmacy closes at a time that assumes you have no other obligations. And if you need a repeat prescription for a chronic condition, you have to repeat the entire visit just to receive the same medication you received last time. China installed automated prescription dispensing machines at hospital exits, metro stations near medical districts, and residential community centers. A patient with a valid digital prescription, issued through the hospital app and stored in their healthcare account, approaches the machine, scans their QR code, and receives their medication immediately. The machine holds a formulary covering the majority of commonly prescribed drugs for chronic conditions, post-operative care, and standard acute treatment. It operates around the clock. For patients managing long-term conditions, hypertension, diabetes, thyroid disorders, the machine eliminates the repeat hospital visit entirely. The prescription renews digitally through the treating physician's system after a remote check-in. The patient collects the medication from any machine in the network at any time that fits their schedule. China identified the pharmacy queue as a separate problem from the medical appointment and solved it separately. The appointment is still required. The queue is not. Number 14. Pedestrian navigation built into floor tiles. In several of China's newest high-traffic transit hubs, including terminals at Chengdu Tianfu International Airport and sections of Shenzhen's newer metro interchanges, directional navigation is embedded into the floor surface itself. LED strips integrated into specially manufactured floor tiles illuminate directional arrows and color-coded pathways that guide passengers to specific destinations, departures, arrivals, metro connections, taxi ranks, specific numbered gates. The pathways update in real time. A passenger whose flight gate changes receives a notification through the airport app, and the floor pathway from their current location to the new gate re-illuminates in the updated direction. No signage hunting. No stopping to orient against a ceiling-mounted board in a crowded terminal. The floor tells you where to go, and it tells you at the pace you are already walking. The system is designed with accessibility as a primary function. Passengers with visual impairments receive haptic and audio confirmation through a paired app, while the visual pathway serves sighted passengers simultaneously. One infrastructure layer serves multiple user needs without compromise. China embedded the navigation into the ground and pointed it at every person walking across it. Number 13. AI-optimized school. Meal systems. China operates the world's largest school meal program by volume, feeding over 100 million students daily across public primary and secondary schools. The logistical scale of that number is difficult to process. China processes it with an AI meal planning and supply chain system that most national food programs don't come close to. The system cross-references student nutritional data, age, weight range, flagged dietary requirements, and regional climate factors that affect caloric needs against a database of seasonal ingredient availability and cost, and generates weekly meal plans that meet national nutritional standards at optimized cost per student. Supply orders are placed automatically based on the plan, adjusted daily for attendance patterns, and tracked from supplier to kitchen to plate with sensor-equipped delivery systems. Waste is monitored at the plate return stage. Image recognition on food return conveyor belts estimates waste by meal component and feeds the data back into the planning algorithm, adjusting future quantities. A dish that is consistently wasted is reformulated or replaced. A dish that consistently empties the plate gets higher allocation. The system learns what 100 million children will eat and adjusts toward it. The food gets better. The waste goes down. The cost holds steady. Number 12. Real-time air quality displays on every major street. Across China's major urban centers, street-level air quality monitoring stations feed real-time data to large public displays mounted at intersections, park entrances, school gates, and transit hubs. The displays show current AQI, PM 2.5 concentration, temperature, humidity, and a color-coded health guidance indicator. Green for unrestricted outdoor activity, yellow for sensitive groups to reduce extended exposure, red for general population advisories. The displays are updated every 15 minutes from a network of monitoring stations positioned throughout each city's grid. The data is simultaneously pushed to weather apps, city navigation platforms, and health apps, where it integrates with personal health data. A user with a respiratory condition receives automatic guidance when local air quality crosses a threshold relevant to their condition. Most countries monitor air quality. The data is published somewhere, accessible to someone motivated enough to find it. China put it on the street corner, at eye level, updated continuously, available to the person walking past who had no prior intention of checking. The information finds the person rather than waiting for the person to find it. That difference between data available and data delivered is the gap between a monitoring system and a public health intervention. Number 11. Neighborhood elder care check-in kiosks. China has the largest elderly population of any country on Earth and a long-standing cultural expectation of family-based care for aging relatives. Urbanization has created a structural tension in that expectation. Adult children live and work in cities far from the provinces where their parents remain. The family care model persists as a value, while the geographic conditions for it have changed. Community-level elder care kiosks, installed in residential neighborhood squares, near morning exercise areas, and at market entrances, address the daily welfare check problem with a touchscreen terminal that elderly residents interact with each morning. They confirm they are well, log any health concerns, access a simplified telehealth interface for minor medical questions, and optionally make a short video call to a registered family contact. The kiosk transmits a daily status update to registered family members automatically. A missed check-in triggers a notification to both family members and the neighborhood community care coordinator, who conducts a physical welfare check within the hour. The system handles the majority of routine daily welfare contact digitally, while keeping a human response layer available for the cases that require one. China built technology that substitutes for daily physical presence without replacing human response, when human response is what the situation actually needs. Number 10. Smart bins that sort themselves. Correct waste separation depends on an individual making the right decision with the right knowledge at a moment characterized by full hands, mild distraction, and low motivation. China removed the individual from the sorting decision entirely. Smart bins deployed across public spaces in Shanghai, Beijing, and Shenzhen accept all waste through a single opening. Internal sensors, computer vision cameras, near-infrared spectral analysis, and weight detection. Identify each item's material composition as it enters and route it automatically into the correct internal compartment. Recyclable, organic, residual, or hazardous. The user puts the item in. The machine decides where it goes. Recycling rates at smart bin locations run significantly higher than at conventional separated bins, for a reason that anyone who has stood in front of a 4-bin waste station holding a plastic-lined paper coffee cup could have predicted. The correct answer isn't obvious, the motivation to get it right is low, and the consequence of getting it wrong is invisible. The smart bin makes the question disappear. China made the bin responsible for what the person was never reliably going to be responsible for. The waste goes in, the sorting happens, the human is no longer the weakest link in the chain. Number 9. Solar canopy marketplaces. China's outdoor markets operate under open sky, in summer heat that degrades fresh produce within hours, in sudden rainfall that ends trading days early, and with no reliable power source for the refrigeration that would extend the viable selling window into evening hours. Most market infrastructure globally addresses this with permanent fixed structures that are expensive, inflexible, and commit the space to market use even when it serves other purposes. China introduced modular solar canopy systems that can be installed over existing market spaces in days, reconfigured seasonally, and removed without permanent alteration to the underlying site. The canopy panels provide shade and weather protection from below, while generating electricity from their upper surfaces. That electricity powers vendor refrigeration units, lighting, payment terminals, and common area services, all without connection to the external grid. In larger market installations, surplus power generated during low activity hours feeds back into surrounding neighborhood grids. A market that was purely consumptive, buying power from the grid, contributing nothing, becomes a net energy contributor during its off-peak periods. China turned the roof of a market into working infrastructure. The roof was going to be built regardless. China made it earn its keep from both sides. Number 8. APP-based virtual queues. Physical queues require a human body to stand still in a specific location and do nothing. China identified this as unnecessary and solved it. Virtual queue systems are integrated into hospitals, government centers, restaurants, and bank branches across China. A user joins remotely through an app, receives a live position number and wait estimate, and is notified when they are approximately 10 minutes from being called. The physical waiting area empties. People distributed across the city, in cafes, parks, at their desks, are all technically in the same queue, but none of them are standing still doing nothing. They arrive at the counter exactly when needed. China recognized that only the sequence of service was necessary. The physical cohabitation of waiting strangers in a shared room was not. It kept the sequence and removed everything else. The queue still exists. You simply no longer have to be inside it. Number 7. Free hot water available everywhere. Free hot water dispensers are a standard feature of Chinese train stations, airports, long-distance buses, hospitals, schools, and office buildings. A passenger boarding a 4-hour train carries an empty cup. Hot water appears at their seat through a carriage dispenser. A patient fills a thermos in the hospital lobby without asking anyone. It is not a hospitality gesture. It is simply present, the way a working bathroom is simply present. The practical effects extend beyond the cultural preference for warm water. Instant meal preparation, medication requiring water, free hydration available to anyone in the space, regardless of whether they can afford to buy a beverage. China embedded the hot water tap into public infrastructure, and in doing so, made every train journey, waiting room, and working day slightly more livable for every person passing through. Other countries sell you the hot water. China decided it was infrastructure. The tap is free. The water is there. The day is a little easier. Number 6. Smart parcel lockers in every neighborhood. China has more e-commerce volume than any country on Earth. It built the physical infrastructure to match that volume rather than hoping existing systems could absorb it. Automated parcel locker networks are deployed at apartment building entrances, metro exits, convenience storefronts, and community squares across every major Chinese city. When a delivery arrives and no one is home, the courier loads it into an assigned compartment. The recipient receives a code by message and retrieves the parcel at any convenient time within 72 hours. No failed deliveries. No redelivery windows to plan around. No missed packages left on doorsteps. The return system works the same way in reverse. A return request placed through an app generates a code. The customer deposits the item at the nearest locker. The refund initiates automatically. The courier collects on their next round. Two of the most frustrating interactions in modern retail, the missed delivery and the return drop-off, are handled without any coordination between the customer and a human being. China built the locker network and let the logistics sort itself around it. Number 5. Contactless metro entry with QR codes. No card, no ticket, no machine, no queue. Just a phone and a gate. A passenger opens a transport app that generates a time-sensitive QR code linked to their account and transit credit. The gate scanner reads it in under half a second. The gate opens. The fare deducts. The system requires no physical infrastructure beyond the scanner. No ticket windows, no vending machines, no card loading stations, no balance checking screens. The same account connects metro lines, buses, bikes, and in many cities, intercity rail. Transfers between modes are handled automatically. Fare calculations across a multimodal journey complete without the passenger doing anything beyond moving through the city. China removed the gap between arriving at a station and boarding a train, a gap that in other cities contains ticket machines, card readers, balance errors, and queues, and replaced it with something that takes less time than a single step. The city becomes something you move through rather than negotiate with. Number 4. Cashless payment for street vendors. The last holdout of cash in most economies is the informal street economy. The vendor selling fruit from a bicycle, the roadside dumpling stall, the shoe repair specialist working from a folding table. These operators lack the margins for card terminals and the connectivity for payment processors. Every cashless payment infrastructure system in the world was designed for someone larger than them. China solved this with a printed piece of paper. A QR code linking to a payment account, laminated and taped to a cart, connects the smallest informal operator to the same digital payment infrastructure used by national banks. No terminal, no electricity required on the merchant side, no transaction fee for small amounts on the most widely used platforms. The vendor receives payment in their digital wallet and spends it immediately. China achieved cashless saturation of its economy not by mandating terminals, but by making adoption require nothing. No hardware, no training, no bank relationship, a smartphone, and a printed code. The result is a country where searching for change is a foreign habit, and the smallest economic transaction works identically to the largest. Number 3. 30-minute city delivery. China's on-demand delivery infrastructure operates on a 30-minute standard window for groceries, restaurant food, pharmacy items, and everyday consumer goods within urban areas. This is not a premium tier. It is the baseline expectation of platforms like Meituan and JD Daojia, the standard against which performance is measured. The system functions because of density built at every layer. Dark stores, small urban fulfillment warehouses, are positioned through city neighborhoods at a spacing calculated to make 30 minutes achievable at cycling pace for every delivery address in their catchment. Fleets of riders work routing algorithms that optimize pickup sequence and drop order continuously as new orders arrive. For a household inside this network, the distinction between needing something now and planning ahead disappears. Medication, fresh ingredients, a replacement item, all exist within a 30-minute window at any hour. China built delivery infrastructure fast enough that sending someone is slower than having it sent. The errand became genuinely optional. That is not a marginal improvement. It is a restructuring of how daily life is organized. Number 2. High-speed rail. As the default, China operates over 40,000 kilometers of high-speed rail, more than the rest of the world combined. Trains run at speeds between 300 and 350 kilometers per hour, turning long-distance travel into something routine. A journey from Beijing to Shanghai, roughly 1,300 kilometers, takes about 4.5 hours, city center to city center. Wide seats, onboard power, and a smooth ride mean the time isn't lost. People work, read, or rest without interruption. The experience removes nearly every friction point associated with air travel. There is no need to travel far outside the city to reach an airport. No extended security lines, no strict baggage limitations for everyday travel. Boarding is fast, and departure is precise. The train leaves from the city and arrives in the city, making the journey feel like a continuation of the day, rather than a pause in it. This shift has done more than improve convenience. It has fundamentally changed how distance functions within the country. Cities that once required planning and overnight stays became reachable within a single day, or even a few hours. Weekend travel between major regions became normal. Businesses reorganized supply chains around faster, predictable movement. Talent mobility increased as people could live in one city and work or collaborate in another without relocating entirely. The network did not emerge gradually in response to demand. It was built ahead of it. China invested in large-scale infrastructure with the assumption that if connections were made fast and reliable enough, people and businesses would adapt their behavior accordingly. That assumption proved correct. As the network expanded, usage followed, and patterns of movement reshaped around it. Stations became hubs of economic activity. Regions once considered peripheral gained relevance through connectivity. The idea of distance shifted from physical separation to travel time, and travel time compressed dramatically. China did not wait for proof that people would use high-speed rail at scale. It built the system first and allowed the country to grow into it. Over time, the rail network became not just a mode of transport, but a structural layer influencing how cities relate to each other. The trains move quickly. The larger effect is how everything else begins to move differently because of them. Number 1. The city that drinks the flood. Every year, cities around the world flood. Stormwater systems built for older rainfall patterns struggle under the intensity of a changing climate. Roads turn into rivers. Underpasses fill. Homes take on water. The damage is calculated, repairs are made, and then the cycle repeats the following year with familiar predictability. China looked at this pattern and treated it not as an unavoidable outcome, but as a design failure. The response was the Sponge City Framework, a model that rethinks how urban environments interact with water at every level. Instead of forcing rainwater into drains as quickly as possible, the system is designed to absorb, store, and reuse it. Permeable pavements replace traditional sealed asphalt, allowing water to filter through the surface into layers below. Parks and green spaces are shaped with subtle depressions that temporarily hold excess rainfall, releasing it gradually after peak flow passes. Rooftops are converted into green surfaces that capture and retain water before it ever reaches the ground. Beneath the surface, interconnected cisterns and storage systems collect runoff and redistribute it for irrigation or other non-potable uses. The result is a city that behaves less like a rigid structure and more like a living system. Water doesn't accumulate dangerously on the surface because it is continuously absorbed and redirected. In cities built to Sponge City standards, up to 70% of annual rainfall can be managed on-site. Flood events that would disrupt transportation, damage property, and halt economic activity are reduced or prevented entirely. More than 30 cities across China have adopted this approach at scale. The investment is significant, but the returns are measured in disruptions that never occur. Roads remain passable, homes stay dry, businesses continue operating even during heavy storms. China did not attempt to control rainfall. It changed how cities respond to it. Instead of resisting water, the system accommodates it. Instead of reacting after damage occurs, it prevents the conditions that create damage in the first place. The rain still falls. The difference is that the city is ready for it, and those are 15 Chinese ideas that instantly improve everyday life. From the prescription machine that ended the pharmacy queue, to the floor that tells you where to walk. From the bin that sorts your waste so you don't have to the city that absorbs a flood before it becomes one. Every single idea on this list started in the same place. Someone looked at something people were tolerating. A queue, a wet road, a dying phone, a missed delivery, a confusing terminal, and asked the question that most systems never ask. Why is this still like this? And then, instead of accepting the answer, they changed it. Subscribe, and we'll keep finding the places where that question is being asked. See you in the next one.